Good morning and welcome to Health and Life with me, Coach Natalie, where I am spreading love, light, and knowledge to you. You probably saw the thumbnail, right? If you're having menopause, should you have broccoli? Are there foods that you shouldn't eat? This was very interesting to me because as we are in menopause, as we are hitting that age, premenopausal, menopausal, or perimenopausal, us women, we have a lot of symptoms. We have issues with weight gain. And so we're always doing a search to see like what's what. And I recently saw a weight loss advertisement because I'm always searching and looking into a lot of different things, like what works for me at this age, because I find that what worked for me at a younger age is not working for me, right? Has not been working for me now. I mean, workouts always work for muscle toning and for just general health. But as far as like weight loss and weight gain, what works for you, I mean, if you want to gain weight, just eat unhealthy food. That's a no-brainer, right? But weight gain happens differently for us during menopause, and weight loss also happens differently for women during menopause. So I'm gonna get right into it. I am so glad you're here with me. Stick with me because we're gonna jump in and look into this. I did a lot of research to see because I got a little bit of clickbaited into this ad that said don't eat broccoli. And I was like, broccoli of all foods, like broccoli is healthy for you, right? And I did some research, and guys, heads up, there is no research out there that I could find. Anyway, if you have one, please link it down in the description box below because I would love to know, that says that menopausal women should not have broccoli. Nowhere. And I'm just gonna go over a few things that you should and should not have, because there are all these myths out there, right? And menopause symptoms are real. The hot flashes are real. Everyone's body is different, so you will react differently to menopause. Some women say they never have hot flashes. Some women, like me, have them all the time. So we have to take measures to mitigate that if we're uncomfortable. And it's not just that, it's the weight gain, the inability to lose weight. It's the maybe change in your hair texture, maybe change in your skin texture, just a lot of different things. Your muscle mass, right? I think in my last video, if you haven't seen it, where I talked about why I started carb cycling, I talked about how muscle mass after the age of 30 just decreases at 7 to 8% a decade. So by the time you're like me, I'm 53 going into 60, how much muscle mass have you lost if you're not working out? For women who have been regularly working out and have not been sedentary like me, I used to be more active. I used to work in the hospital, and so I was always moving around. And over the last 10 to 12 years, I've been working still as a nurse, but in an office setting. And that really changes the game, right? Especially this happened during that time where I was becoming premenopausal and into menopause. And then I started noticing some differences, but I kept on the same habits that I had before. And a lot of those habits were not the healthiest. So if you're like me and you didn't have the healthiest habits, and not that they were bad, you were able to maintain before your 30s, like going into your 40s, you were somewhat able to maintain, and then you just find yourself like a little bit spiraling out of control, then this video is for you. Keep watching. So when you're thinking about what you should and shouldn't have during menopause, and I'm just pulling up, if you are menopausal, you want to be eating foods that are high in fiber because your metabolism is changing. Fiber makes you feel fuller longer, right? So a lot of women, as you're going into menopause, you want to include some extra fiber in your regimen. A lot of times we don't get it enough through foods or vegetables, so you have to include a supplement. I can link down in the description down below. I'll link the one that I use. They sell them over the counter. I like this one because it has collagen also, which is awesome for my hair. and has made my hair grow like weeds. I'm 53 and my hair is longer now than it's been in a long time and healthier than it's been in a long time. So you want to consume high fiber foods like legumes, whole grains, fruits, vegetables that are, and those will help with your cholesterol levels. Are also affected by your hormonal change when your estrogen levels change as you're getting older, right? So, okay, so next, you want to eat phytoestrogen rich foods because your estrogen levels are decreasing, right? Some foods that are high in phytoestrogens they actually mimic the body's estrogen levels, which can be amazing. So they can help alleviate hot flash symptoms. So examples of estrogen rich foods are soy products, tofu, tempeh, edamame, flax seeds, and legumes. So like beans and things like that. Beans or legumes, in case you didn't know. So adding flaxseed, right, into your diet satisfies two things. It satisfies your extra fiber need and it satisfies this phytoestrogen need that you have as you're going into menopause, which is amazing. When I read this, I didn't even know that. So I recently started adding tofu into my diet, which I was like, oh, I'll never eat that. Well, now I do. I found a way to cook it that I enjoy it, but that it actually helps with the symptoms. So healthy fats. So you want to incorporate healthy fats like avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil into your diet, but moderately, right? We were talking about carb cycling before, so you still want to be watching your fat intake and you want it to be on point. Like you want them to be not over what you're supposed to eat, or else you end up getting the opposite effect. So you want to make sure that you are eating them, but you're not overeating them, right? Okay, so limit sugar and processed foods. Reducing your intake of sugary foods and highly processed items can stabilize your blood sugar and obviously can prevent weight gain, especially as you're getting older. When we're younger and our hormones are working properly and we're young and vibrant, we're able to eat whatever we want, whenever we want. It's freaking amazing, right? And then you get older and you're like, that pizza I ate, I don't feel like I'm digesting it the same. That burger I ate, I'm not digesting it the same. So we find that we need to change our diet or else they sit heavier with us. And we just find that we need to adjust our diet to complement what's happening in our bodies. And many times no one talks to us about this, so we just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and then we're wondering why our bodies aren't feeling healthy. Because this carb cycling for me is not just about weight loss, it's about feeling healthy, making sure I'm putting enough of the macronutrients that my body needs in the amounts that it needs, so that my body is functioning normally and I feel normal. I feel vibrant. I feel alive. I don't feel sluggish and weighed down, right? So next is moderate alcohol and caffeine. Excessive alcohol and caffeine consumption can exacerbate your symptoms of hot flashes and can disrupt your sleep, especially through menopause. Menopause already disrupts your sleep and can cause palpitations, and so adding alcohol to that can make it worse. It's a good idea to consume them in moderation or not at all. Like, I'm not saying it's completely off the table, but while I'm working on correcting my metabolism, alcohol's off the table for me. And especially if you've ever had hot flashes and had alcohol and noticed that you're a hot mess. I live in hot, sunny Florida, and being prone to hot flashes and then adding alcohol to that is really a hot mess. So I just try to avoid it. If I do have it, it is at home. But recently I've just cut it out. I've been 3 weeks now with no alcohol, and that has tempered my hot flashes a lot. Vitamin D is also crucial for calcium absorption and bone health. Exposure to sunlight is a great way to get vitamin D, but if you can't get that, you can eat fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, fortified dairy products, they say, but I prefer like salmon or mackerel. And plant-based milks, and supplements can also help meet that vitamin D need. And I can link down below for you also the vitamin D that I use. And you want to check with your doctor to find out exactly what is good for you to take. I take anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. So, and it's funny because I live in Florida and you would think I would get enough sun. Being on the computer a lot, I don't get out in the sun quite as much as I'd like to. And sometimes it's just way too hot, right? Like it's been here in Florida, the heat index has been way over 100 degrees, up to 115 for a couple months now. So it's really unbearable. Okay, so next, you want to get adequate protein. Why is that? Because when you are going through menopause, like I said, as you get older, your muscle loss gets worse. After 60, that muscle loss goes quicker. So if you're not working out and not getting enough protein, it's going to be even worse. So you want to make sure you're getting adequate protein intake, and that's going to be essential for maintaining your muscle mass overall and your overall health. And you want to include lean protein sources in your diet, such as fish, poultry, meats, lean meats, and tofu, and also legumes like beans. And spices and herbs. Some women have found that some spices and herbs does give them relief from the menopausal symptoms, whether it's they're a little bit depressed, they are having the hot flashes. Menopausal symptoms seem to be relieved by the spices. So some of the spices that seem to work for this are black cohosh, evening primrose oil, and sage. However, it's important to consult your healthcare provider before using supplements and herbs, right? Like I talk about that all the time. I tell you that all the time. Anytime you're incorporating any herbs, anything new into your daily regimen, you want to consult with your doctor to make sure that nothing is going to interact with your current medications, especially when it's not just something that you're putting in your food. Let's see, calcium rich foods, we talked about that. So yeah, are there specific foods that you should absolutely avoid? This is going to be individual, so you're going to want to test out if you're having menopausal symptoms, to test out some of these foods to see what works and what doesn't, right? Of course, you want to avoid trans fats because you're already in that stage where your body is losing muscle mass and your cholesterol levels will tend to get elevated. Eating trans fats are not going to help that. So spicy foods, for some women, spicy foods can trigger their hot flashes. Personally, I love hot sauce. But if I eat hot sauce now, I eat it at home, because when I am out, if I eat like super spicy foods, I just break out in a sweat and can be a little bit embarrassing, right? So you just want to follow your body and follow what you need. Empty calorie snacking. I need to make a whole video on this, because recently, as I was going through and I've been watching my macros. Your macros are their ratio of protein to carbs to fats. And as I've been watching my macros, they sell all this stuff and it's like sugar free. So sometimes you just want a snack, right? Like you have a sweet tooth or you want something, and I try not to get anything with too many artificial sweeteners or aspartame or anything like that. But some of the sugar alcohols do, even though it's sugar free, but the sugar alcohols do contain carbohydrates. I bought a bag of Jolly Ranch, I think it was Jolly Rancher Zero candies, right? For 3 Jolly Ranchers, 35 calories, and almost like 15 grams of carbs. Now, if you're watching your carbs, that may not seem like a lot when you think about it, which is really interesting to me, because at first I was like, oh, 15 grams, it's nothing. But when you start adding your grams of carb, like total carbs, I'm not talking about net carbs, but when you start adding your total carbs up for your day, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Like 35 calories, I can spare that. And it's not that you can't have it, but it's just that you have to be mindful that these zero sugar things that they're putting on the market are to be eaten in moderation. They're processed foods. They are processed foods, and even though they are zero sugar per se, but they still have calories, and actually the sugar alcohols that your body still has to process, right? It has to get it out, right? So your body will stop. Like I mentioned in one of my other videos, your body will process alcohol before it processes fats, proteins, or carbs. So like it stops processing everything to get the alcohol out of your system. So just be mindful of that. The half-life of alcohol, which is like 8 hours, it takes 4 to 8 hours, and it takes about a whole day to get the 24 hours to get the alcohol out of your system and for your body to start working towards processing the macronutrients again. So you want to just be mindful of that, right? Stress eating, of course, you want to watch stress eating. Full fat dairy. So full fat dairy is amazing. We love cheese, right? Don't you love mac and cheese? I love mac and cheese. It's one of my favorite dishes. It's one of my best dishes. I make it all the time, family gatherings, things like that. But it's something that I limit to family gatherings at this time because it's very dense. It's calorie dense. It has a lot of fat. It has a lot of carbs. So when you, just like the Jolly Rancher candies, it's not that you can't have it, but when you start counting your macros, when you start looking at your macronutrients, you'll find that you leave yourself, when you decide, when you make that decision to have the macaroni and cheese, which you can, right? That you leave yourself little wiggle room for other things. And you may find yourself, to reach those numbers, that you may have to go over your calorie count, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, then that's really counterproductive. Now, once you've lost the weight that you want to lose and you're where you want to be, once in a while, not so bad, right? You can throw in a cheat day here and there as you're going to hit your goal, or you're making that progress. You throw in a cheat day, but when you are like first trying to get on track and get your body back into a good space as far as your metabolism goes, it's really not. You may have to let it go because it's a lot of saturated fat in the mac and cheese, which we love. And it's not that it's bad, it's just that our bodies don't process it the same anymore. And so we just have to do something else. We gotta find something else, right? Or we have to just eat a little bit less of it. Lean proteins are better because they're less high in fats, right? So you want to limit the consumption of red processed meats. So if you're gonna eat red meat, I would say Wagyu, but Wagyu is really expensive. So at minimum, like grass-fed beef. So salty foods, you want to limit the intake of salty foods because that contribute to high blood pressure and water retention. So reduce your consumption of salty snacks, of course, processed foods, and excess salt. Adding excess salt to your diet. Oh, fried foods. Good. Fried chicken wings, right? Like I don't know if there's anyone out there who doesn't like a good buffalo wing. But they're high in trans fat. Sometimes they're cooked in trans fat oils, and they can contribute to weight gain and heart issues already all on their own without having any metabolism issues that go along with menopause. And so you just want to limit those foods. French fries, fried chicken, donut, those processed foods. It's just the time has come, ladies, that we just have to really watch what we're doing so we can maintain our health into our very, very, very young old age that we're aspiring to. Menopause is not something that you talk about. I don't know why. Like, we don't talk to our parents about it. Like, I remember my mom just having hot flashes and just opening up the window in the middle of winter and thinking, like, what the heck is going on? Why is the window open midwinter? Now I know why the window was open midwinter. She was really hot. She was not kidding. But at the same time, we don't talk about what we do, and then we get clickbaited into these things that are, like, don't eat broccoli, and you're wondering, oh, should I not leave broccoli out of my diet? Well, no, that's not a real thing. But there are some things that you can do and leave out of your diet, as I mentioned, or reduce from your diet to alleviate your symptoms. But and that's over time, and for each person it's going to be different. It's trial and error. ladies. And so, you know, if you're interested in carb cycling, I'm gonna put a little bit more information. I'm going to be posting my results in a couple weeks so that you can see like how I'm doing with the carb cycling. And I have to tell you, it's some work as far as like figuring out and tweaking what works for your body, but at the end of the day, it's your body. And that's what I'm finding out. I was always thinking like, oh, it's too much time. I did everything else for everyone else, and this is the only body I have. This is the only skin I have to be here on this earth. So I have to protect it and guard it with my life, because it's the only one I got until I go. So I want to keep it as healthy as possible so that I can live through a ripe old age and do the things that I really want to do and be as healthy as possible while I'm doing them. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you have any comments, drop me a comment about what's going on with your menopausal symptoms. You know, how you're doing. Have you having weight loss, weight gain, hot flashes, any of that? Uncomfortable. It's really an uncomfortable thing, and I think we should talk about it more. I really do. I think it's natural. It happens. And it's part of who we are. So we can talk about this and age gracefully, right? And get our health under control and take control, not just get our health under control. Basically, we can take control of our health, because if we don't, no one else will. You're going to be looking at everyone else that you've taken care of. For you mamas out there who have been taking care of the family, even if you're not a mama, you've been taking care of, you're a woman, you've been taking care of somebody somewhere, and maybe not paying attention, not having time to pay attention and do the research. So let me do some of the research for you. Let me bring some of this stuff out to you. And if you have any questions about the topic, I am more than happy to research if it's something that I don't know about. That's what I do every day. I am a registered nurse. I'm not a doctor, so please check with your doctor if your symptoms are out of control. But these are just things that you can do, because in this day and age, we are really in control of our own health. The doctors are there when we have acute conditions, but we have to take control of our health. And you know, it's a shame, because when you go online and you're looking for that help because you feel desperate with whatever symptom you have, whether it's the hot flashes or the weight gain, the hormonal changes, the mood swings, you get clickbaited into a lot of stuff, and you're just like, well, this doesn't work. They said it would work. And we have to remember that we are, first of all, we're individual, and sometimes it's just marketing. I'm not selling you anything here. I'm just selling you your own health. You just to join me and to get your own health together. That's it. I'm not selling you anything. So anyhow, I thank you for joining me today. Until next time, I am sending you love, light, and knowledge.